Need a boost? Sometimes all it takes is tapping into your inner cool. Icebreaker's gum helps you unleash the confidence within. Each chew releases a rush of icy flavor powered by cooling flavor crystals, sending a wave of refreshment to reinvigorate all your senses. Icebreaker's convenient pack fits everywhere, from car cup holders to backpack pockets, so you can find your cool wherever you go. Grab Icebreaker's gum online or at a store near you.
These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Hey, weirdos, are you guys ready for a live stream event, baby? Well, join us on May 1st at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern for a special live stream event presented by our friends over at Audible. Catch it on Wondery's Facebook, YouTube, and Wondery.com/morbidlive.
Hey, weirdos, I'm Elena.
I'm Ash.
And this is Morbid.
Sorry, I don't know.
That was a great addition. I liked it.
What if I just responded to everything you said today with
That would be, I don't know if that would be encouraging or if it would be
I feel like probably
lightly
not.
frightening later.
We should pause because your mail truck just got here and your dog's gonna go fucking nuts. I think I like this little life. I love doing that to Drew just randomly because he fucking hates
I also
it.
hate that.
I think it's so funny.
I do love seeing people do it to their dogs, though. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Like people just like laughing. And the dog's like, what the fuck?
I will fight you. No, Drew will just be like saying something that like we have to do, and I'll be like, okay. I think I like
Oh
this
God,
little
that would
life.
horrify.
He hates it so much. He's like,
Yeah.
stop!
I hate that as well. I'm with Drew.
Sometimes I'll just go up into his ear and do it.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm a
Look at
terrorist.
Mikey's like assault. Assault and battery.
It's a lot to live with me, but he chose it.
He did. He chose this little life.
Full circ.
Full circ. So hey, guess what? There's a sequel to The Butcher and the Wren called The Butcher Game.
Wrote it!
I wrote it.
I read some of it.
She's ready to go. She's coming out September 17th.
Mark your fucking calendars.
You can pre-order it now. And pre-orders are awesome. They help me out a lot. So if you want to do it, that's great. If you can't, you want to wait until September, that's fine too. Do what you want. Do what you want to do, okay? But pre-orders are great. And Barnes & Noble has a 25% off on the Butcher Game if you use the code ButcherGame25.
I love coupons.
Butcher Game 25, and it goes through September. So if you want to wait a little while to pre-order, that's cool too, man. You can still use that 25% off at Barnes & Noble or get it anywhere else you want to get a book.
Wow.
Okay?
This is deeply exciting because one,
This is deeply
I love
exciting.
books. Two, I love you.
Oh my God.
Three, I love coupons. Did I say that already?
Coops
I don't
and
know.
discounts.
I'm just really excited about this all.
I'm also excited.
I think I like this little life.
I think I like this little life. But you guys have been awesome. And also, like, you're just really great. And you are really being kind and supportive. And I appreciate you.
And if you're not, I'll come and find you.
But like everybody
Just
is.
kidding.
But you've like, I put out like that little video and I was like, I'm actually getting like kind of emotional. I'm not even kidding.
And
you
she
guys
doesn't
made
do
me
that, you guys.
emotional. You've been so kind, so supportive, so wonderful. And I appreciate you. And it's because of you that this gets to keep happening. So thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And go pre-order it if you want to. It's long and it's gnarly. So it's everything you could ever want, you know?
Party.
But you know what is not everything that you could ever want?
I know exactly what is not everything I could ever want.
Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Ed Gein is really nothing you could ever want or need or
fathom
or conceive of, really.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know these episodes are pretty gnarly. So if you need a palate cleanser, you can also go over to the Rewatcher. We've been having a lot of fun over there.
I love that show.
We literally laugh so hard that we get that like scratchy throat kind of thing that happens.
Last week's episode,
I think it's last week's at this point.
I think. And the darkness.
The darkness.
You should just go listen.
We were crying laughing.
Crying.
So go if you need a little palate cleanser, but you still want to hang out with us, which we hope you do. Come on over to the Rewatcher. It's getting funny over there.
And if you've never watched the show, that's okay.
Exactly.
You just watch it as you go, go.
There you go. In the darkness.
And the darkness with Angel.
So if you need a palate cleanser, head on over there. But we are at the conclusion of the Gein saga. Oh. And we got through the worst of it, I would say. Okay. This is really the wrap up. This is what happened afterwards. This is kind of where he fits into the kind of pop culture at this point, how that evolved. I told you all the terrible stuff the last episode. That was for sure the heaviest one, which is why we needed a little bit of a breather for this one. When we last left you, he had been found and caught and was not super forthcoming about what was happening. Every once in a while he would spill his guts a little bit, but he was pretty tight-lipped. But that led to a lot of people speculating. There was lots of cannibalism, necrophilia talk, all these rumors. None of them were substantiated at the time. They were just rumors because of the macabre and very ghoulish reality of that house and what they found. They weren't really going very far to find these rumors. It was just kind of naturally occurring out of this because no one had ever seen anything like this before.
And probably never did again.
Yeah, I mean, this is and I think that's why this case, and I'll talk about it later, but I think that's why this case is so enduring. It's because it's just, what the fuck? It's like
all over the place.
What the fuck? And especially at this time and period, it's like
50s.
This was like, what the fuck? And in the Midwest, it's like, America's heartland.
In this
so it's
tiny little town where nothing never happens.
Tiny little town, and everybody knew this guy. That was the other thing. It's not like this, and it wasn't the weirdo that no one ever talked to and no one knew anything about him. They knew everything about this guy. Yeah. They grew up with him.
Right.
He babysat their kids.
Stop that.
Jesus.
Stop telling you that.
I know, I can't help
Stop
it. But as these rumors of cannibalism and necrophilia are spreading like wildfire, investigators were working very diligently in an attempt to get just a little bit of the truth, or as close to the truth as they could, from Ed himself. During his initial interrogation, he had a lot of trouble remembering things, or so he said, and he frequently struggled to answer questions. But in the days that followed that, he was becoming a little more forthcoming, at least as far as the grave robbing was concerned.
Okay.
At first, they weren't getting a lot out of him about that, but he started to open up more. Also, while he didn't seem like he was being particularly like boastful or proud of what he'd done, like he wasn't like, oh yeah, like this is what I did, guys.
Right.
He also didn't have any remorse. Like he wasn't sitting there like being like crying and being like, I can't believe I did this. I'm so ashamed. He was by no means being prideful about it, but there was no emotion attached
So he's just
to it.
very matter of a fact.
Very just, this is what I did.
Wow.
Like it was just very robotic.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And he spoke about his quote unquote collecting in a very matter of fact way.
And that's what he called it?
His collecting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What a fucking way
just
to describe
very
that.
detached. Like
Yeah.
very detached, very like, I'm not really understanding why everyone's freaking out here kind of thing. Ed confirmed that to the best of his recollections, he had taken the bodies from the cemetery and had used various organs and pieces of the bodies to make trophy items. And he explained that sometimes he would open the grave and take the entire body home, while other times he would just take parts of what he wanted and then rebury the casket in the same night.
Okay.
Imagine
No.
your loved one being dissected in their casket in the middle of the night by this guy.
No, that's horrifying.
And then the casket is just shut, reburied, and you have no idea what he took from them.
And that's the thing. You think about all the people that went to go visit their loved ones having no idea that their graves were even disturbed.
That they're an incomplete set of remains.
Yeah.
And what we'll find out later is like, we still don't really know who, like they weren't able to put everyone back.
That's
to
so
completion.
sad.
Yeah, and although they had already endured hours in the Gein house, followed by many more hours talking to Ed and considering his crimes, none of the investigators were at all prepared for any kind of explanation for why he did this, to be honest, after all they'd seen and been through. But based on the state of things at the Gein farm, investigators had assumed that the explanation was that he had taken the body parts and skeletons simply as trophies to be displayed and, you know, like just so he could look at them, like use them as art, kind of his own weird macabre art. That's
Yeah.
what they were assuming.
Yeah.
They were like, we're really not ready for any kind of explanation here. And like none of them makes sense, but we're assuming that's what it is. But the truth was actually much more upsetting. When they asked whether he had ever worn the masks made out of human skin that was literally filleted off of people's skulls, Ed replied, that I did.
He just said that I did.
That I did.
What the fuck?
But that wasn't the only thing that he did.
Can you imagine being the person that had to interview him?
Yeah.
Like sit in a room with this man?
And hear him and you look at pictures of him and he looks very like,
Looks like a normal fucking dude.
Like, what? Like, I don't understand.
He
why
looks like
everyone's freaking out.
an old man that like you'd be friendly to and be like,
Yeah,
oh,
you just be
hey,
like, oh, hey, Ed,
man.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, and
To be in that house and then to go back to that police station and sit down with him and talk to him. I don't know. Again, we were saying like, I don't know how you get over being in that house.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get over talking to Ed Gein.
how do you reconcile those two things together? Like, how do you sit in that room and be like, you're the guy?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know how the human brain is capable of what
honestly,
it is
it's
sometimes.
like really wild. And then to think about, like, he had like what, like 9 masks made out of women's faces that he had skinned off of their skulls. And these were recently deceased women.
Right.
Like, that's the thing that he knew in a lot of cases.
Yeah, because
in
he would scan the obituaries, you said, right?
And he would know the names. He would have interacted with them before. And then he's wearing their faces, some with makeup on still.
That's wild.
And like, imagine being these loved ones of these women, finding out that this man was wearing your mom, your sister, your grandmother's face.
That's a nightmare.
Around his house.
That's like beyond a nightmare.
Like, there's so many layers to it that it's just like, holy shit, you can't even consider it all.
No.
But again, that was only part of what he kind of referred to as his ritual that he would do. He had made an entire skin suit from women's bodies and hair and would often wear the suit. And he said on warmer nights, he would wear it while wandering around in and outside the house on his property.
What?
Thinking about that
visual,
like a bright moon, this just like decomposing farm that like nature is reclaiming.
Acres and acres and acres of land. Like
just
in the middle
no
of fucking
light,
nowhere.
but that moonlight, trees like reaching over, and he's walking around in a human skin suit that he made from bodies of women he murdered and dug up in the cemetery.
Also imagine
and sewed together.
Knowing that you lived close to him and that like you were just like you think like what was I doing in my house
I just
miles
sitting,
away
reading a book while he was wandering around his property in dead women's skins?
It's like, did he babysit my kid that night?
It's like,
did he just go home after babysitting and do that? Also, what the fuck possesses another human being to make a skin suit and walk around in it? Like, what the actual fuck?
And that's why you also know that you are not working with a sane human being here.
No, by no means.
There is a lot wrong here. There's layers and layers of darkness happening here.
There's not even a word for what this is. There really isn't.
There really isn't. And it's honestly inconceivable, and no one really understood it until the man died. We still don't understand it. We're still like you can point to many things that occurred in his life and know that it's a wild and horrifying concoction of some of the worst shit,
of course,
you could think of.
But then you think that other people
turn into this. It's like, how did that intersection happen?
Because other people have a similar experience to what Ed had,
and it's awful.
It does not take away from the fact that it's fucking horrible and it's essentially child abuse, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
Like you can't isolate your child, and
absolutely,
like, it's a lot.
Yeah, and there was abuse. Like it was like, I mean, like she neglected the other, Henry, and she was mean.
Exactly,
she was awful to them.
But so many other people have probably gone through similar things and don't do this.
That's the thing, and it's like
and
you just don't know what's the
thing that makes a person go that way.
That's why I'm like, is it? And obviously, this is just like thinking out loud. Like we don't know what we're talking about. But it's like, is it brain chemistry that is the
I feel
kind
like
of the straw that breaks the camel's back kind of thing? Like it's like your unique brain chemistry. Either you go one way or you go this myriad of different ways. Like I don't know when we'll know. I don't know if we'll know.
I mean, it's
so complex.
It's not the same thing, but it's like, why do some people like certain music and other people fucking hate that music?
It's true.
You know
what
I mean?
Does it have something to do with like some unique brain chemistry that it takes, this perfect storm of trauma and abuse to turn that chemistry a certain way, Like, is it?
Well, and I definitely think part of it is what you're exposed to or what you expose yourself to.
For sure.
And I think, and this is just my opinion, I think those magazines that he was reading,
they fed whatever this darkness was.
100%.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
And like could possibly have like changed his brain in some way.
Yeah, it absolutely could. And he gives a little bit of insight into some times that he personally, which like obviously he's a very unreliable historian of his own life, but he points to one in particular instance, which is interesting. But I do agree with you that I think he fed himself. His loneliness and his isolation was one thing. And he was isolated, felt lonely, just, grief from his mother dying, the fucked up way he was raised, whatever happened with Henry, his brother,
right?
which we're all still up in the air here.
Are we?
But kind of seems like there was something there. And it's like, and then he's feeding himself nothing but violent, fantastical. And these aren't like, these aren't all like fiction. It's not like he's sitting there reading horror books. You know what I mean? Like that's whatever. Like you're just like,
this is literally like Nazi.
He's reading like the worst shit that real human beings are, the atrocities that are being committed against other human beings. You know what I mean? And he's looking at it and being like, that sounds interesting.
Like he's inspired
and like something
by
I want to try. Like that's the thing. It's like that's where the road diverges.
The disconnect,
here. He's not just reading horror books or something like that, or it being like, I like to be scared. That's fun.
Yeah,
like, that's a totally different brain chemistry. But to look at the real atrocities that human beings are committing against each other and saying, well, that sounds fun.
Right.
That's when it's like you're feeding a darkness that was already there.
Yes. This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place. Let's talk about bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, and it doesn't have to be that way. But with SoFi's high-yield checkings and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit. No account or overdraft fees. We love transparency. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, plus get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at SoFi.com/morbid. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank N.A. member FDIC. Terms apply. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Yeah, so that's what he was doing. So people around that farm just going about their business while that's happening.
God.
When asked why some of these body parts that they found in the house had been painted or like embellished, some had been salted. You know, like we talked about, one of the vulvas was like covered in salt.
Yeah.
That's part of where that rumor probably came from of like cannibalism.
Yeah.
But he explained he had simply been trying to find effective ways of preserving them.
I was going to ask
So,
that.
yeah, that was my associate. But in the 50s especially, like,
Well,
people
I mean,
in
like, when you
Plainfield, they have
hunt-
no fucking clue.
When you hunt, like, don't you, like,
Pack it in salt or
yeah,
something.
I think so, at least.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, salt is a preservative. So.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what they used to do, like, way back when.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. But while Ed seemed to have no reservations about confessing to some of the most shocking crimes imaginable, he was strangely less forthcoming and cooperative when it came to the murders of Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden.
Interesting.
Following a polygraph exam, he confessed to killing Hogan and Worden, but he did so very reluctantly. And only after it was pointed out that there was a veritable mountain of evidence pointing to his guilt. Like, they were like, you literally can't get out of it. Like,
You have to wonder, or at least I'm wondering, if that's because, like, his religious upbringing explicitly says, like, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, thou shalt not do all those other horrific, heinous
but it
things.
doesn't explicitly say all that.
But do
like,
I
you
feel
know,
like that packed a different kind of meaning for him, that he was a murderer.
Yeah, and I think he looked at the other things as but from the way he seemed to talk about it, was these women were dead.
Right.
Like, what were they doing with that stuff? Like, I need it.
Right.
Kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, he looked at it from a very detached, like, they didn't need it anymore. Why is this a problem? Like, maybe it's weird to you, but like,
Right.
it's not bad what I did.
Which
you know,
is
like, that's
fucked.
really fucked.
Like, incredibly fucked, but I think that's what it was.
I think
is
that's
that he
where
didn't
his
think
brain-
he was wrong for that.
No, I think he was like, sure, maybe you find me gross or weird, but like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's a
Right.
dead person. Like, what do you mean?
Which, like, no, that is wrong.
Like, of course I can make art out of
like-
their flesh. And it's like, no. And then
No,
when it
you
comes to
can't.
murder, though, he knows that's bad.
Everyone
like,
knows
he
that's
knows
bad.
that's illegal. He knows morally that's wrong. And he's preaching morals all over the place. And his mom was always screaming morals at him, which she had a very skewed fucking view of morality. And we'll get to that in a minute, too. We'll find another instance where it's like Augusta.
Really?
But
not another one.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you're right. I think it's like murder was something he just knew was wrong.
Exactly.
So he knew by
Inherently.
admitting to that, he was admitting. Also, he probably thought he was admitting in front of technically his mom.
Yeah, the
that
ultimate
he had
sin.
done the ultimate sin.
Right.
So as for the other crimes that he was suspected of, A spokesperson for the crime lab indicated they had not made any determinations as of yet, like meaning they didn't know if he was a cannibal. They didn't know if he was a necrophiliac.
Yeah.
The press was told an avalanche of physical evidence has been recovered, which will take weeks and possibly months to completely evaluate and process. But based on his responses during the polygraph examinations, because they brought up the cannibalism, they brought up the necrophilia, they also brought up the several people that had gone missing in the like we had talked about, like Evelyn Hartley, Georgia Weckler, like all those cases that were kind of open and strange. They brought those up. And investigators after the polygraph were reasonably confident that Gein had nothing to do with the disappearances of Evelyn Hartley, Georgia Weckler, or any of the young women who had gone missing over the years. I think that's a little sus. I'm not placing all my shit on a polygraph exam.
No.
Obviously. And it's like, and especially one where the guy doesn't really understand that that's something like taking people's body parts from their graves and using them as soup bowls is wrong and not just gross and weird. I don't know if we can look at that polygraph the same way, because his physiology is not going to react the same way to a question like that. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to think he did something wrong. So he's going to be like, well, no.
That's why polygraphs are so tough.
Yeah, because it's like this guy has a very different view of what is wrong, right, weird, strange, and the like. Like, he's not, it's just not going to have the same baseline.
Yeah.
So, like, there was some stuff that we talked about in part 2 that, like, kind of made you question the Evelyn Hartley thing. I'm
Absolutely.
not saying he did it. I'm just saying there's things that still make me question it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, and if you're just going off the polygraph exam to say, like, we're pretty sure he didn't do it, I'm like, I don't know.
Because he had, and obviously not that this is like a smoking gun by any means, but he had newspaper clippings of her disappearance.
Reports said that he did, yeah.
His house, yeah.
So whether he was just interested in the case or what,
who knows?
Like, there's very...
But that is interesting, at the very least.
How a polygraph isn't going to really work the same on somebody like this. But for a time, the grave robbing and trophies were effective at quelling his anxiety, he said, about his mother dying, and it would help quiet the voices in his head, he said.
Okay.
So that can tell you a lot.
Sure.
But after a few years, he said they were no longer a sufficient means of coping, and he was struggling. So one afternoon, he said he stopped into Mary's tavern with a neighbor and was struck by just how much Mary Hogan resembled his mother physically.
They do look similar.
Yeah. And he said it soon occurred to him, though, that while she definitely resembled her physically, he said Mary Hogan's personality was almost the polar opposite of who he believed his mother to be. And Ed fixated on Mary for a few weeks until one morning he said he just went to the tavern and shot her in the back of the head with a .32 caliber Mauser pistol.
Wow.
Once he'd killed Mary, Ed loaded her body into the back of the truck and brought her back to the farm and hung up her body in the summer kitchen, where he proceeded to mutilate her body in the same manner that he had Bernice Worden. So Mary Hogan went through the exact same thing.
That's horrible.
The murder of Mary Hogan seemed, he said, to satisfy this dark need or urge that he was feeling, he said, for a few years.
Wow.
Until the fall of 1957 when he murdered Bernice Worden. So that's very interesting and also a very horrifying study of this guy, according to him, went years, which is interesting.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen. Obviously it happens, but it doesn't happen
But it's
often.
always like one of those like strange occurrences where
Right.
it's like one, then years later, you don't do it again until years. Like it's allegedly.
But I do wonder if it's because he had her around for years.
I think, yeah, it's like, was
I think
he
that's
able
part
to
of it.
Yeah, I think it is part of it. With each new story published about Ed Gein, the American public's fascination was just growing. I mean, this is a new thing. Like, no one's ever seen this. To the point that guards had to be appointed to the Gein farmstead to keep the public from entering the home, digging through the contents of the house, and contaminating evidence or otherwise influencing the case.
I would not want to go there while that was an active crime scene.
No, thank you.
You really want to stumble upon that horror voluntarily?
That's the thing. You want to, what are you doing? Like, come on.
You sure about that?
You sure about that? But for 3 weeks, a full-time security guard with support from county deputies guarded the property around the clock until crime scene technicians finally finished the excavation in early December.
Wow.
So psychiatrists and medical professionals had a field day with Ed Gein, obviously. They labeled him, and these are people who weren't seeing him, had never met him, just speaking out of turn.
Which, like, isn't it true that you're not technically supposed to diagnose somebody you've never met?
No, you're definitely not supposed to. They were labeling him a sexual psychopath, a schizophrenic, and many other terms that at that point in 1957, the American public had never even heard of.
Wow.
Like, they had no idea what any of this meant. And in the meantime, Ed was being arraigned at the Washara courthouse for the murder of Bernice Worden. Standing before Judge Herbert Bundy, Ed's attorney William Belter spoke on Ed's behalf and pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Given the evidence collected at the farmhouse, it was kind of hard to argue anything else. So Judge Bundy accepted that probable cause had been found and waived the preliminary hearing and ordered that Ed be bound over for trial. So in total, the hearing took 3 minutes.
Wow.
In the week that followed his arrest, many people tried to get more information from Ed about the murders, about the items found in the home. But aside from his initial police interview, his answers were mostly, I don't know and I don't remember. Adams County Sheriff Frank Searles suspected Ed knew something about the disappearance of 2 local hunters a few years earlier.
Really?
And had hoped, now that he was under arrest, that he might be a little forthcoming with some information. But Ed had nothing to say. And now I'm like, oh, I want to know more about that. Like,
how many people? Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's interesting. Because you could see something like that happening. 2 local hunters, like maybe they stumbled on his property or something like that.
Literally like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Literally like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, because as we'll find out later, and as some of you I'm sure know, Leatherface and that whole family is kind of loosely inspired by these events.
Yes.
But yeah, he had nothing to say about that.
Huh.
Not that he like, he
didn't even deny it.
Do it. He just had nothing to say about it. Yeah. What he wanted at this time, and he had been requesting it for several days, was to speak to a minister. So
What fucking minister wanted to go talk to, or obviously didn't want to, but had to go talk to Ed Gein?
Well, on November 22nd, Schley finally got around to bringing one into the jailhouse.
How do you convince that person to go do that?
Well, so it's impossible really for us to know if anybody, like who Ed had in mind when he requested a minister. But I'm willing to bet that he definitely wasn't going to ask for Reverend Kenneth Engelman. He was only 33 years old. He looked a lot younger than 33. He was also of a different faith. He was Methodist, and Ed was Lutheran.
Oh, okay.
Ed was pretty pleased to see him, though. Like, I don't know what he wanted. I'm like, he's not the same religion as you, but
maybe just to confess his sins.
Yeah, maybe it was just some kind of comfort. And afterwards, like after they spoke, which I was like, whoa. Reverend Engelman held a press conference, and he told reporters how it went. He said, Ed Gein is a man who needs help.
Yes.
And according to Engelman, the two prayed together in Ed's cell, and that's when
inside of the cell. I'd be like, we can do this bar separating us.
Bar separating us, girl. But Ed began sobbing. And he said he was, quote, sorry for himself for having gotten in trouble. And then he said, a reporter, so you hear that and you're like, so you're just sorry you got caught.
Yeah, fuck that.
And it's like, you weren't even trying to pretend that you were crying for something else. That's what makes me think, like, he has no idea.
What's right and wrong.
No idea. He's just like, or that, like, he's just detached. He's totally detached from this.
Yeah, because obviously he knows, like,
yeah,
just
like
the fact
he knows
that
right and wrong.
Right, of course.
But, like, he just doesn't see it the same. Like, this is not a man who is looking at things the same way that you or I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is, and he's just outwardly being like, I'm just really sad that I got in trouble, you know?
What the fuck?
And so reporters asked him whether he expressed sorrow for the persons he had injured. And Engelman said, no. He never did. Wow. He never expressed sorrow or remorse for any of it. Which is so fucking monstrous.
So beyond. And if that was your family member, you would want 5 minutes in that cell.
Oh, it would be on site. I'd be like, let's go. Like, this would be like, yeah, finish him.
But you'd also be terrified. You'd be like obviously anybody who
what
murders
is
somebody
this
is a
man?
monster, but Ed Gein goes so far beyond monster.
In a completely, like, you can't comprehend him.
No, and I keep saying there's just no words. It's indescribable what he did and how he reacted to what he did.
Yeah, and even he doesn't seem to fully, like, he points to things that he thinks is the reason, and it's like, I think he holds those as his reasons, and it's like, okay, like, what?
Yeah.
But you just think of, it's hard to, like, grasp it all at once because there's so much in this that you're just like, I can't conceive of this. But you just have to think of this man sitting in this house, which he's boarded off his mother's bedroom as like a shrine. And he's sitting in just like filth and surrounded by dead bodies, decapitated heads and body parts all day and all night. That man is closing his eyes in a bed where full articulated skeletons are attached to the bed.
I don't know what to say.
This doesn't seem real. That's why when movies were made later, cinema magic. Because it's just like, that's not real. And then you think about it and you're like, oh my God, that's real.
Yeah.
Like, that's real shit. That's so inconceivable. You think of these things, like, he's just going to bed surrounded by death.
It's one of those things where you would read it in a book or like see it in a movie and say, that's too much.
And you'd be like, wow,
no
what
one
an
would do that.
imagination. Like, no, it is real. Oh, it's
and
just
the
wild.
fact that he had no remorse.
None. No
Except
sorrow and no
for
remorse.
himself.
Just for himself. Now, while the press clamored for any scrap of news they could publish on the story, and he was called at one point the Ghoul Slayer, which I was like, I don't know about that.
That's silly.
I don't know about that. District Attorney Earl Kylene and Ed's attorney were locked in an increasingly public battle over how the case should proceed in the legal sense. Having entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, William Belter was pushing hard for Ed to be examined by a private psychiatrist as soon as possible.
I can understand that.
Yeah, so because he said the defense, in order to have any evidence of value, must obtain it now. And while this was all while Ed was still willing to talk. This guy would shut down at a moment's notice. So they were like, we got to get this going now. While he remembers it, while it's fresh, while we can at least try to get him talking. Like, if he goes silent, we're not going to get anything.
And obviously, like, you don't want it to benefit the defense because, like, I don't think there's any chance that this guy would have walked. He just would have gone to, like, a mental facility, like a hospital. But it would also be helpful for law enforcement and like the FBI and just agencies like that
to start understanding what we're looking for here. What's this profile? What's happening in this brain? Like what is in his past that triggered certain things that he's done,
even if just to help like people who profile or anything.
Honestly, it's like you need this. And Belter told reporters the important question is whether Ed Gein is insane now, not 3, 5, or 10 years from now, which is true.
Yeah.
But Kylene, on the other hand, was pushing for a speedy trial. He just wanted to push it through. Now, Gein appeared before Judge Bundy a few weeks later, and this time Kylene had changed his stance and actually shocked spectators when, after Ed entered a second plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, the district attorney recommended that he be evaluated by psychiatrists at the Central State Hospital before proceeding with the trial.
Wow.
So he's now changed his tune to be like, we should have this guy looked at.
I wonder how much, say, like family members got in that.
I wonder too, because I doubt a lot, to be honest.
Probably not back then.
And honestly, this was a politically risky stance he took.
Yeah.
Because according to Schechter, most people felt hospitalization would be tantamount to him getting away with murder, especially in the 50s.
You can understand why people would feel that way.
People thought
back
it was
then.
just going to be him getting away with it.
Well, and there was no mental health awareness whatsoever.
No. So Kylene couldn't ignore the fact that what they'd seen at the Gein farm was well outside the bounds of sanity. Like, he was like, I can't pretend that this is sane, what we saw.
No.
Like, there's got to be something here, And he said, I don't know whether a person in his right mind would do that sort of thing or not. And then and that's what he conceded. He was like, I guess we've seen bad people do bad things, but like, this is kind of outside the scope of that. So I don't know. And I'm glad he kind of like went this way because he's like, I can't say whether this is sane or insane behavior. And like, I think a psychiatrist needs to tell us.
Right.
Like, none of us can determine this. Well, the judge agreed and ordered the examination. Now, there was no question that Ed had murdered Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden. He would be punished for those crimes. But the other bodies found at the farm presented a larger problem for the district attorney. Specifically, where were the additional victims that Ed simply refused to take responsibility for? Like, we don't even know who everybody is in this house.
And we need to return people back to where
Exactly.
they were resting.
Although he had already explained that the bodies and body parts discovered in the house were taken from graves, few people in Plainfield, including some in law enforcement, found it plausible that meek little Ed Gein had the wherewithal or the strength to dig up all those bodies. A lot of people thought he killed more people.
I get it.
And I don't blame people for thinking that. And people in law enforcement thought that.
I kind of lean toward that opinion.
Besides, they reasoned, wouldn't someone have noticed if random graves had been dug up around the cemeteries in town?
Well,
like,
that's
no
the
one
thing.
noticed this?
Because the sheer number of things and body parts and everything that was found in his house.
It was
and
a
I was
lot.
just saying earlier, like, you would go to your loved one's grave and visit them because, again, these are recently deceased people.
Exactly. And we were talking about 9 masks he made.
Right.
That's 9 women who he skinned the faces off
Right.
of. But also what I'm thinking is he did go after recently deceased, which means recently buried. So it would be harder to determine that those were disturbed
you know what?
graves.
That's a good
Because
point.
the earth is already disturbed
Yep.
recently.
Yep. That's a good point.
So you can look at it both ways. I can understand why people were like, would we have not noticed this? It's like, maybe not. Maybe you're right. Like, maybe that is wild to think about and to be like, okay, maybe he killed more people than we think and he's just doing this.
Right.
But on the other hand, he did go after recently deceased. Like, their obituaries were right in the paper that week.
And the dirt was
Already recently disturbed.
Right.
So he could have just gone and put it back and it really wouldn't have looked any different. So there's
Which
that.
you also think about that and you're like, is that why you did that?
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, that's pretty diabolical.
And like, you have those, I don't want to call that reasoning, but like it sort of is.
But that kind of like
Logic.
your brand of logical thinking, you know,
Right.
like where you're planning this out because you know you won't get caught that way.
Right.
And it's the same thing of like
So
he
that's
went
pretty
into
sane.
Bernice Warden's store with ammunition in his pocket and went
And-
to the gun that he knew that ammunition went into.
And knew full well that her son was going to be off
He
that
asked
day
him the day
hunting.
before. So there's a lot of like premeditation here as well.
Right.
But there's also a lot of insanity. So it's like,
Right.
that's why it is necessary to get him looked at by a psychiatrist because none of this makes sense. None of it correlates. But in this case, though, the only way to be sure the bodies at the farm weren't additional murder victims was to get Ed to identify the bodies at the house and disinter the caskets and confirm that they were missing from their plots.
And they tried to do that?
Well, the thing was, Washara County was in relative like financial strait. Like, they weren't doing great. It's not like they had all this money to throw around. It was a small community. It wasn't like, you know, very
a lot of
wealthy.
equipment needed.
And the Gein investigation and trial threatened to eat up a huge amount of the county's budget in the prosecution of the Hogan and Warden cases alone. So the idea of adding 8 to 10 at least disinterments to the price tag and the cost of processing any additional evidence, it seemed unwise and a little, from what their point of view at the time, they felt it was unnecessary.
Okay.
Also, it was the dead of winter. So the process was going to be a lot more difficult and a lot more expensive if it was even possible to do at that time.
Because the
of
ground is
season.
frozen.
It's frozen. Still,
my
when Ed was
God.
arrested, Kylene vowed to the public that he would do everything in his power to ensure that Ed would never walk the streets again. And given his recent agreement to the psychiatric evaluation, he needed something to offset the appearance that he was going soft on the case now. Because people in Plainfield wanted this guy gone, like done, which I can't say I blame him.
No.
But he's now looking at it from an inside perspective, seeing all the evidence that everybody's not seeing
Right.
the interviews, seeing all this stuff. That's why he's gone to this, like, he should be evaluated.
Yeah.
But that also opens up the possibility that he could walk the streets again. He could be let out of a psychiatric facility when he is deemed sane.
And that's
that's the fear.
terrifying.
Yeah, and that's the fear.
Because how do you reform that?
And he's vowing to the public he'll never walk the streets again. But now he's saying he does need a psychiatric evaluation. He might need to be in a hospital. So it's like he's really
Teetering.
which I'll give it to him. It sounds like he was going with the right moral stance of like, I can't just posture to people. I have to be real and
I have
be
to
like,
do the right thing.
it seems like this is a matter of like, we got to determine the sanity here.
Oof.
Now, surprisingly, Ed was mostly forthcoming with the identities of the women whose graves he'd opened. And by early December, he'd named at least 7.
Okay.
However, before Kylene and some local cemetery workers would charge in and dig up the graves, State Crime Lab Chief Charles Wilson loudly protested to this. He told Kylene and the press, "We can determine scientifically if the graves have been, quote unquote, molested." That's how he called it.
Weird way to put
I don't know why. So they needn't dig up and open the caskets.
Okay.
But Kylene answered, and I can see where he's coming from. He said, "Scientific findings won't convince the people. These people in Plainfield want those graves opened."
I get what he's saying.
And it's true. They're not, the people of Plainfield are in 57 are not going to hear like, scientifically, we can tell if they've been disturbed. Like, they're going to be like, fuck no, open it up. I want to see. Like, they're not going to believe you.
Yeah, like I want to know.
They want proof.
For sure.
Yeah, they've been fucked up by this. They want to know.
Absolutely.
So the problem, as far as Kylene saw it, was that soil analysis and scientific testing could also take weeks or months.
And it's expensive too.
Exactly. And he didn't think the residents of Plainfield were going to be willing to wait that long to find out whether Ed was bullshitting them or not. So while Kylene and the state crime lab were arguing over whether or how to disinter the graves of the locals, Ed was transferred to the Central State Hospital at Waupun and instantly became the most infamous patient the hospital had ever seen. Head psychiatrist Edward Schubert told reporters, "Our primary purpose is to determine the legal question of Gein's sanity, but we will do a complete workup on him and find out just why he has reacted in the way he did." Now, in the meantime, Ed had a theory of his own about what caused him to snap, and he finally was open about talking about it. He talked to his lawyer, actually, about it first while he was being transferred to the hospital. According to Ed, in 1945, he and his mother had visited a neighbor farm to purchase some straw. Mm-hmm. And he said while they were there, they went, and this is really awful, I'm going to brief mention of animal cruelty, so trigger warning. I'll breeze over it. While they were there, they witnessed the farmer kill a puppy.
Oh, God.
Which caused a woman to come running out of the farmhouse, hysterically imploring him to stop.
Of course.
The scene very much upset Augusta Gein.
Yeah.
Not because of the violence. She didn't give a shit about the puppy. But because the woman, quote, wasn't married to that farmer and shouldn't have been at his house.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not fucking kidding you. Yeah, so she...
What? And that's what you tell your kid?
Miss Augusta Gein.
Like, that's what you tell your kid to gather from that situation?
Miss Augusta Gein watched a man violently kill a puppy and was upset because a woman who got upset about.
Do you remember in school when you just knew that your teacher had a favorite of everything? They would always use the same blue dry erase marker when they wrote on the board, or they would talk nonstop about their favorite element during science. I had a teacher once that literally had a favorite brand of marker. She would only write with specific markers, and if another marker ended up in her classroom, she was TO'd. And honestly, I was probably her favorite student because at the end of the year, I got her that specific brand of marker. Let's talk about their real favorite thing, though. Their favorite tissue brand. Kleenex. According to Teacher List, they are the #1 facial tissue trusted by teachers. Kleenex Ultra Soft tissues are silky soft to help prevent skin irritation, and now you can take them anywhere with Kleenex Snap and Go. I absolutely love Kleenex Snap and Go. It's so perfect to have that in your car. I had a cold last week and I was just... Honey, my nose was a faucet. I hate to do this to you, but it was disgusting. Drew literally came out of our garage with like 15 of the Kleenex Snap and Goes, and I put those in my glove compartment, and honey, they were easy access. It was so nice knowing that I didn't have to blow my nose into like an old wrapper that I had. Ew. So do the best thing for your kids' teachers and stock up on the ultimate classroom favorite. Maybe it'll make them their teacher's favorite student. They definitely have a favorite. Don't even get me started because, again, you know it was me. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex. The best summer pieces are the ones you end up wearing on repeat, comfortable, versatile, and somehow right for almost every occasion. Quince makes it easy to create a summer wardrobe that you'll love, with elevated essentials made from premium materials like European linen, organic cotton, and washable silk, without the traditional retail markup. I love that! Quince's 100% European linen pants, dresses, and tops are the pieces that you absolutely will reach for all summer long. I absolutely love their linen. I have so many pairs of their linen pants, which you can dress up or you can dress down in the summer. Like, say you're going to a nice dinner, you can pair it with like a silk shirt, a really cute necklace, some good, makeup and an updo. Or if you're just looking for a more casual look, you can do the linen pants with like a loose button-up shirt and you still look really chic, kind of like, I don't know, Diane Keaton vibes, I kind of think. Also, it's not just apparel. Quince also offers elevated essentials for your home, from bedding and bath to kitchen essentials and furniture. They have it all, honey. I am a big lover of Quince, and I really do think you will be too. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/morbid for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/morbid for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/morbid.
It wasn't married to that farmer and shouldn't have been in his house.
Also, you don't know why the fuck
fault.
she's there in the first place.
And also, gets so fucked, Augusta. Like, are you kidding me?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It was the farmer's immorality and wickedness, Ed claimed, that because the woman's immorality and wickedness that Ed claimed had caused his mother's second stroke and eventually her death, which led to his unbearable loneliness and drove him to violence.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Make it make sense.
I will not. There's no way.
I cannot.
That I cannot do. Nope. Yeah, that's how broken that is up there.
What the fuck, dude?
He said that with his whole chest, that's what led him to do this.
You have to wonder what other instances they ran into as a duo.
As a duo,
and Augusta was like, that one's wrong too. Like, what?
And you would think with that, when you first hear the beginning of the story, you're like, oh my God, he watched like a farmer like hurt a puppy. Like, that's fucked up. And that'll like really stay with you. No, it's not that.
I thought you were going to say he was like fucked up and like got excited that had happened.
He breezed over that. Although there was something he also said, and this is really gross as well. I'm just going to breeze over it because I think it's important to at least mention. He said when he was like 8 years old, right, like really young, he walked into a shed on the farm and saw his mother and his father like preparing, I think it was a pig.
Okay.
Which they had like cut open. Like it's pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Essentially they're like, it was like hanging like Bernice and Mary were. And he said it excited him to watch that happen. So there's another quick little insight into that mind of his at a very young age.
That's the thing. He was so young when that happened. What did you say 8?
I think he was around 8. He was somewhere around that age, like very young.
What the fuck? So that leads you to believe like you're already like something innately is fucked up in you.
And you're just seeing too much. And you're being exposed to a lot of
big ideas.
Stuff, you know, so it's like
God only knows what Augusta was saying.
Yeah, it's true. So that's interesting. So Ed's explanation is very obviously like the delusional justifications of a very broken mind. Like that is weird. Like, no, I don't think that works, Ed. But his self-diagnosis did reveal something about his actual motive, which is from the moment Ed was born, Augusta Gein had done everything she could to impart to him her belief that women's wickedness was responsible for all the world's problems. It was women's wickedness. Like in this story about the farmer and the dog, it wasn't the farmer. It wasn't the farmer's explosive act of unbelievable cruelty and violence that started her into her second stroke. It was the fact that he had been in the presence of a woman to whom he was not married.
That's also just the fact that she was like like they're just in each other's presence.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're at his house, so like, are you wrong?
Yeah.
You like, you're interpreting so much from that woman just being at his fucking house.
Yeah.
You're at his house.
And she's just driving into this kid that women are responsible for everything bad in the world. They will fuck with you. They are wicked. They are manipulative. Don't trust them. They want to ruin you. They want to take you from me. Like all this shit at such a young age. And what is he going to look at women like later?
I'm like, Augusta, what did you want out of this?
That's what I don't get.
Like,
I'm like, what was the end game?
It was so self-serving.
It was.
I don't think there was an end game for Ed. There was an end game for her.
Yeah, that's all it was.
She
Till
got
the end
to
of her
be-
days, she's taken care of.
Right.
And who cares what happens afterwards?
That's another level of evil too.
That really is.
What she did. I mean, nothing compares to what Ed did and where he went, but like,
But that's a totally different side story of evil as well.
that is evil.
But also, it wasn't Augusta's relentless psychological abuse that led to his murdering Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden, but the fact that those women had so closely resembled his mother physically, but betrayed her saintliness and character to him. Like, that was his reason for those.
Because they were like boss bitches doing boss bitch stuff.
Exactly. They were just doing their thing. William Belter told reporters, oddly, he blames the women. He blames the woman. He's talking about the farmer one.
Oh, okay.
He said, oddly, he blames the woman. If she hadn't been there, his mother wouldn't have had the stroke and he wouldn't have been left alone. That's what he looked at it as. If that woman wasn't there,
So it's her fault.
I would have just watched this farmer cruelly kill a puppy.
Gone about
and
my
I
day.
would have been fine. Like, that's what he's justified. Like, that's inconceivable to me. It really is.
I'm so shook.
Now, almost immediately following his arrival at Central State Hospital in early December, Ed started a battery of tests that would take nearly a month to complete. There were some that were physical tests, like extensive examinations of his body, his blood, biological and physiological functioning. All of these were determined to be within normal range for a 51-year-old man. Physically, he was fine.
Okay.
Despite that, Ed seemed to find the physical examinations so frustrating and so daunting. He would frequently whine like a whiner about headaches and nausea, and he would complain that he needed a wheelchair. He was only 51.
Are you kidding me?
I was like, you were dragging people out of their graves and bringing them home. You killed 2 women, and you strung them up and mutilated them, and you're complaining because you might have to walk on a fucking treadmill?
That's
Shut
wild.
up. Shut up, Ed.
Shut up.
Another common complaint from Ed, and this is interesting, was that he said there was a lot of offensive smells that he would smell. That the yeah, thank you. I know, Ash is losing her mind.
No, motherfucker,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, like you lived in that house.
You lived in that house full of everything we know it was full of, and the hospital. Okay, Mary Cosby, what?
That's what I have. So I have a theory. I have a theory. So he would say all these offensive smells were happening that the hospital staff was like, we don't smell these. Like, what are you talking about? And finally, one of the doctors was like, what does it smell like,
Is it
Ed? Like, what are
cleaning
you talking about?
products?
No, he said, it smells like flesh.
Don't you like that?
I can tell you 100% with 100% certainty, after performing an autopsy, I have the smell in my nose for a little while.
Yeah.
It sticks around. And sometimes food will smell like it sticks for a minute. But that's just doing an autopsy and it goes away. Living in a place where all you smell 24/7 is the smell of flesh and decomposition, I wonder if it was just there. He just smelled it.
But he wasn't complaining when he was at home.
But that's what I mean. You go smell blind while you're there and then you leave and all of a sudden you're like, why do I smell this everywhere? Like, I would be like, do I smell like it? Like, I would make John smell me. Like, but while you're in there, you're just doing your thing. And I'm obviously saying in autopsies. So I'm imagining in his home, he would not really notice it because he's there all the time.
What?
But then he's going to this place that's clean and like probably smells like cleaning products and other things like that, like clinically clean.
I'm like, maybe
And
he
he's
doesn't like the
smelling
smell
that
of a
smell.
sterile environment, though.
And I think it's triggering. I think that smell is stuck in, because I don't know, this was right after. So it's like, I don't think that was the case for the rest of his life, that he would smell these foul smells all the time. I think it was like maybe he was still just smelling what he was living in for the last however many years.
That's bonkers to me. I truly, like, I see what you're saying, and I definitely think that could be it because I haven't had that experience. But I fucking wonder if that guy just didn't like the smell of clean.
But he said it smells like flesh.
That's what he was saying?
No, they literally, a doctor said, Ed, what does it smell like? And he said, it smells like flesh.
What the fuck?
And that man knew what that smelled like. He wasn't confusing cleaning products for that.
No, and you sat in your house and like
that's what I
mean. Did
mean.
nobody say to him, Ed, you don't think your fucking house smells like flesh?
Well, then I'm wondering, I'm like, this is a hospital environment. They've done autopsies. They've all been through gross anatomy. They've smelled body smells.
Sure.
I wonder if they're like, that's it. Like you're probably smelling what you smell when you're around it.
That is.
And you're coming out of that environment now and it's stuck in your nose.
This just gets more fucked up as we go.
It's real fucked up.
What?
But yeah, so and also I want you to picture like being a doctor and like this guy just keeps complaining about the bad smells and you're like, Ed, what does it smell like? And he just says, it smells like flesh. I'd be like, I gotta go. Like, I'd be like,
I'm retiring
you
today.
know, I'm just, this wasn't what I wanted
hey,
today.
Chief, here's my 2 weeks.
Like, that's a lot. Anybody who says it smells like flesh, it's like, what the fuck, Ed? Now, the next step was the baseline psychological and neuropsychological exams. And the doctors at Central State, they established that Ed had an IQ of 89, which would put him in the low to average category. Some sources I found did say 99, which would put him more towards the average.
Okay.
He wasn't exceedingly low. You know, like it's not like he was like down at the bottom.
Well, and if you think about it, he left school in 8th grade.
Exactly.
So a lot of that like testing is probably just like basic stuff you learn in school.
Exactly. And honestly, they also noted that he possessed, quote, a fair amount of information, a good vocabulary, and an ability to reason abstractly.
So,
because he read a lot. Mm-hmm. This suggested that despite the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Test, despite what it indicated, he was likely more intelligent than he appeared. Also, the results of the Rorschach, I can never say that right, Rorschach assessment, which is the inkblot test.
Oh, okay.
They were, quote, not that of a well person, but of one with insufficient ego, immaturity, conflict concerning identification, and possibly the presence of illogical thought processes.
Correct. I believe that.
Yeah. Additional tests revealed things many had suspected but couldn't confirm. Ed possessed bizarre and powerful religious beliefs. He strongly identified with feminine figures, and he had a strikingly immature level of sexuality characterized by strong feelings of guilt.
Okay.
So a lot of conflicting feelings happening here, and things he wasn't able to understand or actually like put a finger on, you know, because he was so jumbled up as a kid.
Right.
With so many different messages. When considered together, the results painted a picture of a man who was of average intelligence, very suggestible, but emotionally dull and prone to irrational, inappropriate, and aggressive responses, which is not great.
No, that's kind of the worst.
The earlier tests were useful in establishing a baseline, but the more in-depth testing proved more useful at identifying Ed's true motives for his very shocking behaviors. Mm-hmm. During an assessment of his social and sexual histories, Ed's rigid beliefs about morality, and more specifically the immorality of sex, were a frequent topic, with him at one point exclaiming, "Morality is pretty low in Plainfield," which is what his mother would always say.
Yeah.
With regard to his victims, Ed explained Mary Hogan, quote, was a dirty talker, operated a tavern, and people said she was in some crooked business.
So even just the fact that she operated a tavern that he literally went to before he even developed like any kind of hating feelings about her. Yeah. But it's okay that you're at the tavern?
Exactly.
Well, because she's a woman, she can't own a tavern.
He can be there.
And also she can't swear.
His mother would have been horrified.
Swearing is inappropriate.
Of course not. Oh my God, Augusta?
I know.
Augusta would have lost her
goddamn mind.
Now, about Bernice Worden, he said, quote, she wooed her husband away from another girl and married him shortly after that other girl committed suicide. That's a quote.
So this motherfucker is also just like gossiping?
He's just going on rumors. Like he's just following the rumor mill and being like, well, she should die then.
Like you don't even know.
Yeah. His attitudes towards women in general were very negative. And his attitudes towards his victims were similarly negative and reflected the belief that their deaths were a just punishment for their sins.
Like he's playing God.
Yeah, he said they were sins, like they were sinful. so they should die.
I took care of
I
it.
did it. I did the correct thing. Like, that's why he just doesn't see it as like, I don't get it. What's the problem? Broadly speaking, Ed seemed more or less incapable of taking any responsibility for his actions, like personal responsibility, and frequently blamed his behavior on everyone else. He said, quote, if his neighbors had shown some interest in him and would have visited, then he probably wouldn't have been so lonely and engaged in illegal acts.
I don't really think like all this
that.
happened because nobody stopped by to ask you for some sugar.
Yeah.
I feel like this was gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
feel
don't think
like,
it helped that you were so isolated.
Yeah.
And I think that probably made you way fucking weirder than you ever would have been.
Exactly.
But I don't think we should blame everybody else.
I don't think
for
it's the
this.
neighbor's fault
I don't
here.
think so.
They were, by all accounts, everybody, when he came into town, everybody was kind to him and nice to him and went about their business.
Yeah, and I'm sure it kind of sounds like Augusta turned people away.
Oh, 100%. Nobody was allowed at that farm for their whole life. I'm like, blame your mom.
Right.
She turned everybody away. You would have had friends probably.
Exactly.
And also, he frequently fixated on small slights and misunderstandings that had occurred throughout his lifetime. Like they were far more significant reflections about how other people felt about him.
Okay.
He would like very much focus on the minutia. In like simplistic terms, everyone treated him poorly. Everyone took advantage of him, which is what led him to do what he did. Not him.
Huh.
Had nothing to do with him.
Okay.
When it came to the murders, Ed was far vaguer about it. He frequently claimed not to remember a lot of the details of the murders, but in the case of Warden's death, he was confident it was an accident that had occurred when the gun discharged accidentally. No. Though he doesn't explain how or why he physically loaded the gun with bullets he brought into the store in the first place.
Got it.
And they were like, can you explain that? No.
I just travel with bullets in my front
So it was
pocket.
just an accident that you loaded the gun, the exact gun that you had the exact bullets for in your pocket? No.
Sir.
These are the things that you're like, fuck off, Ed. Like, I see you.
Yeah, and you're lying because
You're
you know,
lying.
and you're lying trying to make it sound like this was accidental.
Exactly.
Because you know that it's wrong.
Exactly.
And you know you're going to be punished.
There is no rhyme or reason to this, man.
It's increasingly frustrating.
It is. I can't imagine being part of this investigation and like the people in the hospital and everything having to deal with this. Also, he claimed not to remember loading Bernice's body onto the truck or returning to the farm, but he didn't deny having killed her or mutilated her body. So he admitted that. In their conclusions, the doctors at Central State determined that Ed's social and physical isolation, along with the powerful influence of his mother, led him to develop a strong and rigid set of beliefs about himself and those around him that were rooted in religious understandings of right and wrong. Following his mother's death, he engaged in a very intense fantasy life in order to cope with the profound grief, anxiety, and stress that was, by all accounts, consuming him, which eventually required more elaborate acts to achieve the desired effect, hence the grave robbing. He denied ever engaging in sex with the bodies, not necrophilia. He said he did not do that. And he said, at no time did I even attempt or consider eating any flesh.
Okay.
As far as his tendency to forget details of the more emotionally charged situations, Dr. Schubert suggested it was kind of a, quote, self-serving amnesia.
Yeah.
Engaged to help him cope with the more unacceptable acts, such as murder. Kind of like what you said about, I think he just kind of like feigns amnesia because it's like a self-preservation technique that like his brain is just kind of doing for him, where he knows those are unacceptable. So he's like, I don't remember.
He has housewives amnesia.
There you go. As for why he murdered Mary Hogan and Bernice Warden, Schubert stated that Ed's motivation for the actions, quote, is elusive and uncertain, but several factors come to mind. Hostility, sex, and a desire for a substitute for his mother in the form of a replica or body that could be kept indefinitely. But in support of this theory, Schubert pointed to Ed's frequent comments about the bodies being like dolls. That's how he would refer to them, and how he was often comforted by their presence. So when we talk about this man went to sleep with like skeletons attached to his bedpost,
see it like that.
He was comforted by all of that. Like, this is what gave him his, like...
is sinister.
Yeah, that sinister is a perfect way to describe it. Yeah. Basically, Ed Gein's mental state and frequent delusions were the result of a complex combination of social, environmental, and psychological factors that, while useful in understanding him a little bit, like at least trying to understand him, it would never adequately or to any satisfaction explain why he did what he did.
Not at all.
He was frequently paranoid, delusional. He experienced hallucinations to which he responded with bizarre behavior and violence sometimes, even when he didn't remember doing so. So there was a lot going on here that nobody could understand. Based on all the test results and examinations, the medical and psychiatric staff at Central State Hospital unanimously agreed that Ed Gein easily met the legal definition of insanity and was not competent to stand trial at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why they felt that way.
In his summary review sent to the judge along with the test results, Dr. Schubert wrote, Mr. Gein has been suffering from a schizophrenic process of an undetermined number of years, for an undetermined number of years. As a result, although Mr. Gein might voice knowledge of the difference between right and wrong, his ability to make such judgment would be influenced by the existent mental illness. He would not be capable of fully realizing the consequence of any act because he would not be a free agent to determine either the nature or the consequence of acts which resulted from disturbed and abnormal thinking. Because of these findings, I must recommend his commitment to Central State Hospital.
Okay.
Now, in January 1958, a hearing was held to formally determine whether Gein was fit to stand trial. And during his testimony, Dr. Schubert explained that Ed was a schizophrenic who had insufficient ego, was immature, lived a rather expansive fantasy life centered about himself, and had little faith in people.
Yeah, it sounds right on the money.
Schubert believed Gein's illness had been chronic, and he had been experiencing symptoms for at least the last 12 years. And because he was unable to give a chronological account of his life and the events related to his crimes, he was not able to participate in his defense, making him incompetent to stand trial. So to the people of Plainfield, the determination seemed preposterous.
I can also understand that.
They were outraged that Ed appeared to be getting off with a light sentence from what they saw.
Like, especially with a lack of understanding of mental health and everything that goes along with it, especially during that time, I would also be upset. Like, you have to consider the fact that these people are not necessarily well educated and don't have all the resources about these kinds of things. And like you said, some of the things that they were talking about, like the diagnoses, these people had never heard of. Like
never
the American,
even heard the word.
The American people. I'm not saying because they're like in a small town, they don't know.
No, literally like America.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like,
so it's like you can understand why they'd be like, I feel like this is a fucking cop-out.
Yeah, exactly. They were pissed. And this was ghoulish. This was horrible. This was a nightmare.
And these were people that, because again, a small community, people they loved and respected.
Exactly.
And knew
Warden's
forever.
was like an institution.
Right.
Like Bernice Warden and Mary Hogan as well. Like that was, everyone
Both
went to
of
that
their
tavern.
places.
But Bernice Warden, it was like, that was an institution, that hardware store.
Right.
Like she was named Citizen of the Week, like everybody knew her.
Yeah.
And people were even more outraged because they were like, we've known him our entire lives for the most part. Like everyone in that town had known him forever.
And they're like, I never saw anything.
And they were like, yeah, he's odd. And they said like sometimes, and they referred to him as like simple, quote unquote.
Yeah, which is not
They
cool.
said he hardly seemed to be what they termed psychotic.
Well, because now all of a sudden he's having these violent outbursts and
They're
hallucinations.
Like, we let him babysit our children. He wasn't having these violent outbursts.
Do you think some of them were potentially
like
put on?
I wonder.
Or do you think it was all the stress that he was under? Because that could start it too.
I can see both of those being the case for sure.
But
I could easily see him.
You know that feeling when you come home late from work and those puppy dog eyes just pierce right through your soul? Or when you're packing for a trip and your cat refuses to leave your suitcase? Yeah, we've all been there. Pet parent guilt is real. And you know what? It's completely normal. That's exactly why Hill's Pet Nutrition exists. They understand that being a pet parent means being human, with all of our imperfections and daily juggling acts. Hill's science-led nutrition helps you give more love than humanly possible. Whether it's those long work days or trying to balance attention between multiple pets, Hill's Pet Nutrition gets it. They've created science-based nutrition that supports your pet's lifelong health so you can feel confident even when life gets hectic. Because you're only human, there's Hills. Science does more. Ready to let go of the guilt? Find the right food at hillspet.com/podcast. That's hillspet.com/podcast. This is a paid ad by BetterHelp. I happen to be somebody that struggles with people pleasing. So a lot of times I will build things up and up and up and up and up and then kind of get to the point where I'm like, I need to let this out to this person. Even in 2026, that stigma and just stigma in general can get in the way of a lot of things, like getting support for your mental health. Maybe you've encouraged friends to consider therapy while avoiding taking that first step yourself because you're busy. You're worried about what other people might think, or telling yourself that you should handle this all alone. But therapy with BetterHelp, the world's largest online therapy platform, can be a space to slow down and talk through what's been building before it feels unmanageable. Just take a short questionnaire to identify your needs and preferences, and BetterHelp will handle the initial therapist matching work for you. Their industry-leading match rate means BetterHelp typically gets it right the first time. Feel confident knowing BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully qualified. Don't let hesitation hold you back. Find support with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/morbid. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/morbid.
Play acting this whole thing and kind of manipulating everybody, or I can see that it's just he snapped
When you're put under stress
and
like
it all
that.
started coming out.
But you do, I mean, as a citizen of that
Yeah.
town and seeing him your whole life and letting
You
him
can
babysit your
understand.
kid, and he was fine. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, I don't fucking think so.
So I can understand why they're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, but of course, on the flip side of that, in 1958, few people outside of the medical and psychiatric community even knew what schizophrenia was.
Right, like we were
much
just saying.
less how it can manifest.
Right.
So no matter how well it was explained to them, they most likely would never believe Ed had a very serious and extremely complicated mental illness. It was just too much to tell everybody what it was.
Yeah.
You know, like that nobody's going to get it.
Right.
Because it's the first time they've ever even heard it. It's
Right.
too complex.
And there's not like a ton of research or...
Yeah, they can't just call a town hall and be like, let me explain schizophrenia to you and like how it manifests, why
Right.
this is so complex, why these behaviors might make sense.
They're like, we're still learning about this.
Yeah. But regardless of how the townspeople felt, Judge Bundy accepted the recommendation of Schubert and the other doctors at Central State Hospital, and Ed was sent back to the hospital where he could stay for the next 10 years. Now, although it may have appeared as though Ed Gein was, quote unquote, evading justice by being confined to the state hospital, State Attorney General Stuart Honeck assured Wisconsinites, quote, upon his recovery, if that should occur, the defendant may still be brought to trial. So they were like, he's not just going to be let out. If he is found to have recovered and is found to be sane, he will go on trial.
Okay.
So while that was probably little comfort to the friends and families of the victims at the time or the residents of Plainfield, that day did eventually come. In February of 1968, when Ed was found to be competent to stand trial for the murders of Bernice Warden and Mary Hogan. In recent years, Ed had become a model patient at the hospital and had shown considerable improvement since his arrival, even to the point of holding a job at the hospital's lapidary.
Lapidary? What is that?
And it's relating to stone and gems and the work involving engraving, cutting, or polishing them.
So like he was making rings and shit?
So he was like, I think it was more like engravings and stone and stuff.
I don't want that.
I mean, who does, really?
No one.
But he was doing it. He was holding a job there.
Huh.
And a hospital spokesperson said, quote, he seems content to live day by day. We've never had the least bit of trouble with him.
Kind of not dope that he gets to be content living day by day.
Not dope.
Kind of not dope.
That's a great way to describe it.
Kind of fucking shitty.
I think that's a good blanket statement for what happened here, which kind of not dope.
Like, you just get to be content after you killed two question mark people.
So you know what? Super not dope.
And I'm saying like question mark two, like,
yeah, like is there
methinks
more?
not.
Yeah, at least two, and possibly your brother. Yeah. Now, despite
Glad you're
being
content though. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. You're content to live day by day. Despite being found competent to stand trial, Schubert was emphatic that Ed Gein was still profoundly mentally ill.
Correct.
And was unlikely to improve any more than he had in the time since he arrived. He said, quote, "I doubt if Mr. Gein will ever change." And truly, with the horrific discovery now a decade behind everyone, most people around Plainfield would just as soon have left it in the past. Like, they didn't want to relive this all over again. But Ed had spent 10 years locked in a psychiatric facility without ever having stood trial for the crimes that put him in there. And as far as he was concerned, as Ed was concerned, he wanted his day in court.
He thought he was going to talk himself out of this one?
Yeah, I was like, do you really want your day in court? The day finally came on November 7th, 1968, and despite a courtroom packed with press and spectators, it was very underwhelming. Because Ed opted for a bench trial, the prosecutor spent just one day presenting his case to the judge, which was by then very familiar to everyone in the courtroom. And the defense spent just a few days more to present their case of not guilty by reason of insanity. It was as though everyone was simply just like kind of going through the motions to kind of satisfy Gein's right to a fair trial. Like, we're just going to go through this. On November 14th, 1968, Ed was found guilty of murder. After which the second phase of the trial, to determine his sanity at the time of the murder, began. This, too, was over in a very short amount of time, with the judge returning his conclusion that he was insane after 2 days of testimony from psychiatrists at Central State Hospital. Based on the findings, Ed Gein was returned to Central State Hospital, where he would remain institutionalized until he was deemed sane and no longer posed a threat to society. Although this technically meant, like I said, it was possible that Ed could be released back into the community, and he did, in fact, petition for this in 1974.
The fuck he did.
That man petitioned to be let back out.
Kind of not dope.
Yeah, definitely not dope. Given the extent of his crimes and their effect on the community, there was no real chance of him ever being released from the hospital.
I'm like, who the fuck signed that petition?
So Gein returned to Central State Hospital, where he remained until the facility was converted into a correctional facility in 1978. From there, he was transferred to Mendota State Hospital, where he spent the days working, watching TV, reading books and magazines.
Just chilling.
Just as he had for the previous 2 decades. Ed remained a model patient, never caused any problems for the staff, was never violent, never did anything really wrong in the in the hospital. And Ed Gein died of respiratory failure on July 26, 1984, at the age of 77.
I did not realize for some reason that he lived to the 80s.
Yeah, to the 80s. And he was 77, and he was buried in an unmarked plot in the Plainfield Cemetery.
Wow.
Now,
I mean, I guess when you think about it, like, I was just so annoyed that he got to, like, read books and watch TV.
Course.
You can also do those things in prison.
That's true.
I just thought that to myself. I was like, really, what's the difference?
It's true. Exactly.
He's just getting treated at the same time.
And yeah, I don't know. But in March 1958, the Gein farm became the property of the county. That was in 58, by the way. We're going back for a minute.
Okay.
So I just said that like we were still in 1958.
No, it's okay.
But in 1958, like in case you were wondering what happened to the farm.
Yeah, it was.
It became the property of the county and the local auction company, the Farm Sales Service of Reedsburg. They were contracted to auction the property and the land off.
Can you imagine having that place be your responsibility?
No, thank you.
Like, fuck.
But prior to the auction, the Farm Sales Service of Reedsburg tried to cash in on the notoriety of the case by charging 50 cents to anyone who wanted to do a tour of the property and buildings before they were sold off.
Had it been, like, cleaned up yet?
Yeah, I mean, as much as it could, I suppose.
Huh.
I'm not really sure what kind of crime scene cleanup they had back then, but probably wasn't that advanced. But already exhausted and frustrated by the overwhelming attention the case was drawing, the residents of Plainfield vehemently objected to the admission fee, and a judge quickly shut down the company's attempt to, quote, make the house a museum for the morbid. And I was like, hey,
we didn't ask for that.
We did
not ask for that.
We did not want to do that.
Wow.
A few weeks later, the auction of the property and remaining contents of the house.
The fuck did that house contain?
Whatever was left. It was held and drew more than 20,000 spectators.
What?
Which I can see the like morbid curiosity of wanting to see like who buys this thing. Like I can understand like just being like, what's gonna happen here? I can at least understand the morbid curiosity of that, like wanting to see who this goes to.
I see like both sides of it. For me, I wouldn't want to touch that with a 10-foot
Oh, I feel like it's got such bad energy in there.
That's the thing. I'm such an energy human.
There was an arson fire that occurred on the property a week before the auction.
You trying to burn that energy into the air?
Yeah, it's apparently. It destroyed much of the main house, actually. And by the time the auction was held on March 23rd, 1958, all that remained was 5 old sheds and the foundation of the main house.
Wow.
In the end, the property and the remaining contents of the farm were all sold for less than $4,000, which went to offsetting the significant costs of the investigation and hearings. In the decades that followed, hunters and those exploring the property surrounding what was once the Gein farm would occasionally find human bones buried on and around the property, which is a really sinister reminder of the hideous things that had happened on that property.
Absolutely.
Like, for literally decades, hunters would find human bones.
Which I
feel like there's more.
He killed just 2 people.
I feel like there's more, man. Although his crimes were truly bizarre and shocking, it's possible the story of Ed Gein would have kind of faded out into history with the passage of time. I mean, it's a long time ago.
Maybe.
But there was a little-known, strange fiction writer named Robert Bloch that at the time of the murders, he had been living in the Midwest and started following the Gein case as it unfolded in the papers. The story eventually became the basis for Bloch's 1959 novel, Psycho.
Huh.
The year after its release, Alfred Hitchcock, you might have heard of him,
I think maybe.
he adapted Psycho for the big screen and created one of the most iconic and enduring characters in horror cinema, Norman Bates.
I still need to see it.
Despite being an amalgamation of a few different characters, Gein would become synonymous with the character of Norman Bates in the years that followed. And his, ghoulish acts would live on in horror cinema, most notably in 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1991's Silence of the Lambs, and 2001's House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, I didn't realize that was also.
Yeah. Now, especially the name alone.
Yeah.
You could call the Gein farm House of a Thousand Corpses.
Seriously.
Ed Gein was not the first American murderer to capture the public's imagination, but his crimes were so bizarre and so ghoulish and so beyond anything we'd ever seen before that they definitely left a massive mark on the American psyche and inspired an interest in crime and criminal behavior that really is what we have today. Like, this is because think about it, the psychology aspect of this case was so huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really took off. I think that much like the murder of the Clutter family in 1959, the discoveries at the Gein farm kind of represent this like shattering of a collective innocence.
It's like a pivotal shift.
It really is. It's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, these people live among us. This is what can happen here. And it was these were such brutal and hideous crimes, and they happened in what was America's heartland. And they were committed by a mild-mannered handyman and sometimes babysitter.
I wish you would stop.
And if they can happen in the American heartland, they can happen anywhere. And no one is ever going to be safe again.
Is that where you're ending it?
And that's where
You crazy girl.
No, but it really was like, this was the moment when everybody said, no one's safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, where can we go in this country that, like, if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. You got to lock your doors. You got to, be watching over your shoulder.
It's so scary. This case gives me nightmares.
Ed Gein, and I think the case is so well known and it's been covered so many times. But it's like, when you really hear all the nitty gritty,
you learn something new.
There's a lot more to it.
I learned a lot, and I've heard coverage of this before. Obviously, like I think I said in the beginning, not a ton. Like, I've listened to a couple podcasts, but even still, I learned a lot with your coverage.
Thanks, Dave's.
I don't know if I'm better for it.
Dave was a real one with this one.
I know, Dave.
It was a journey.
It's probably.
It's like, sorry,
that poor man.
What we put him through.
I know. He's voluntarily.
You know, he's
kinda.
here, okay? He loves us.
He's here and we love him and he loves us. And
Dave's
it's fine.
listening right now being like, not this much.
He's
Not
like,
this
I don't
much.
love you guys at all.
Shut up, both of you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's the
Okay.
Ed Gein case.
Well, I'll be coming at you next with something pretty morbid.
There we go.
So that's the name of the show.
That's the name of the
It's
game.
the name of the game. And since no one's safe again, we hope that you keep listening.
We hope you
keep
it
weird. I need like an ice cream or something.
Get an ice cream.
I need like, I don't know, I need a cocktail.
In the U.S., there's a break-in every 26 seconds. But when intruders step near, Simply Safe Home Security steps up.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Using AI alerts, U.S.-based live agents help deter break-ins. Simply Safe, no long-term contracts. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
Talk about regrets. We all know someone who's been in a car accident and said, I don't need to call a lawyer, only to regret it after their pain and damages were worse than expected. When someone hurts you, you deserve to be compensated fairly. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm, fighting for the people for over 35 years. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com/podcast. That's forthepeople.com/podcast. Their fee is free unless they win.